Hey guys, I am going to apologize first that this took so long behind Phantom Hourglass. A thumb injury doesn't leave much room for stylus, unfortunately. But yeah, this is Legend of Zelda, The Spirit Tracks, another DS game much like Phantom Hourglass. In fact, Spirit Tracks is the direct sequel to that game. Yeah, this takes place in the Wind Waker timeline, and unlike many Zelda games, this is obviously connected since Tetra and other characters from that game are name-dropped rather often. Strange, isn't it? A Zelda sequel? Which is also a sequel of a sequel? It's not unheard of, but rarely seen on the handheld market. Maybe Phantom Hourglass sold well. If you recall, I thought the game was okay. It had some promise, but was plagued by issues. Well, that's the nice thing about sequels, I suppose. However, unlike Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks is often recognized as not only being one of the best DS games around, but also considered a top-tier Zelda game to boot. Now, I haven't really played the game outside of this review. Kind of. I helped a friend of mine with a flute section and killing a one-eyed spider. Yeah. These are all side things, though, and I never played the swordplay or anything like that, despite being donated the exact same copy that I helped out with as a gift from said friend. Still, sadly for this copy of the game, I haven't really had a chance to play it. I also wanted to hit Phantom Hourglass first, so yeah. Although, I learned quite quickly that really doesn't matter. Phantom Hourglass doesn't connect to this game enough to really warrant a playthrough of it or anything like that. So, yeah, even Wind Waker, while I recommend it, doesn't really connect too much to this game. And still, sadly, this DS game still didn't actually get played because I ended up playing the Wii U port for the Virtual Console. Sorry, but DS games are kind of a pain in the ass for me to record. But let's do it. Let's see if this game can be recommended by a guy who really doesn't like touch controls. Let's take on Malladus! So, much like the last game, I absolutely love the writing of this game. The plot is pretty simple. You are a new train conductor. Congratulations! Zelda kind of knights you and then asks for your help. Turns out some of the tracks that the people, drive trains on are straight up disappearing, and she wants you to investigate. But she also wants to investigate with you. Turns out her asshat of a chancellor is responsible and reveals himself pretty quickly with his minion Bernier? I'm horrible at pronouncing his name, so he's now Bernie. Bernie fights your friend, Alfonso, who is considered a great swordsman and is also a descendant of Gonzo from Wind Waker. Oh, don't worry. As stated, you don't have to actually have played Wind Waker to understand things here. Everything you need to know is recapped by Nico, of all people. Yes, Nico from Wind Waker, the last surviving member of Tetra's old crew. Who would have thought? Anyway, Alfonso is defeated and Zelda is killed. Okay, she isn't technically dead. Her body needs to remain alive so some evil being, named Malladus, can possess it. If you're wondering, Malladus is this land's version of Ganon. Anyway, Zelda's spirit is separated from her body. Soon you meet Anjian. Oh, jeez, another name I can hardly pronounce. You know what? Her name is a pun on engine, so I'm just going to call her Engine. Engine is a friend of Tetra's from 100 years ago, and is more than willing to help you out in your journey. She spells everything out. The Tower of Spirits is where Malladus will be resurrected. Link and Zelda must go to the top. To do so, they have to wander around the new sections they have access to with the Spirit Tracks. Exploring these areas will restore some of the Spirit Tracks, which are actually magic seals to keep Malladus sealed away. Naturally, people decide to drive on the damn things. Anyway, this returns part of the track. Link and Zelda find another sage, play a song, return the rest of the track in that area. Now they go to the nearby temple, kill the boss, restore part of the tower, rinse, repeat until they're at the top. Yes, you're basically repairing the tower one piece at a time. The plot mostly stays put until you're about one temple away from restoring the entire tower. Suddenly, Bernie comes to stop you, but Engine, who is revealed to be his former trainer and master, tries stopping him so you can continue. When you come back, you face off against Bernie himself and defeat him, and find that Engine is safe. Sadly for Bernie, who is only bad now due to his lust for power, Malladus doesn't give a crap about him. Yeah, Malladus possesses Zelda's body and injures Bernie. Then the Demon King and the Chancellor take off in a demon train. Now the only way to separate him from Zelda and her body is with a powerful bow, very similar to Zelda 1 on the NES. Neat. You go through one last temple to gain the bow, go through one last segment of the Spirit Tower to gain a compass Bernie made to track down the demon train, and then go after the bad guys. Eventually, during the final battle, Zelda gains her body back, but Bernie himself is literally killed trying to help. Yep, he tries to redeem himself and is vaporized for it. You eventually stop Malladus, and Engine decides it's time for the sages to return to the world as spirits. So yeah, they kind of die too. That's kind of sad for how lighthearted the Wind Waker style of Zelda normally is. But the story is pretty good. Character writing is good as well. Zelda from Skyward Sword is my favorite version of the character. The Zelda from Spirit Tracks is now my second favorite incarnation of Zelda. I still have a few games to catch up on, but dang, what an upset. I wasn't expecting this version of Zelda to be this adorable. She's still a kid and certainly acts like it, but it's cute. She even tries to stay behind at first because, princess tropes, but eventually she joins you as your companion character. I certainly appreciate her company in the adventure, and her fear of mice and bugs even plays a part in the gameplay. Nice. Engine is a lot like Tetra, Alfonso's a lot like Gonzo, and Bernie is actually a fun character. Even the Chancellor, who is grouchy asshat at first, turns into a crazy-ass villain. I love these characters, returning or new. Speaking of returning characters, Linebeck even joins the fray. Now, it's Linebeck the Third, aka Linebeck's grandson, but he may as well be the same character. Love it. Now, these aren't just references. They're actually characters in this game, very unlike Minish Cap. Great. So, when it comes to the charm, I love the way the game looks and sounds. The music is way better, in my opinion, to the Phantom Hourglass OST. My favorite being the overworld theme. Such a great theme. But the rest of the music is lively and upbeat as well. Pretty good stuff. I also like the small detail of the horn on the train. I know that seems silly, but it's a nice touch. I also like how you can see the Tower of Spirits from a wide variety of locations. Actually, each area has their respective settings. The forest area has forest-like monsters, the ice area has ice-like monsters. The creatures you face here are each different based on the area itself, making all the locales feel different. It is a stark improvement over the last game for sure. Also, once again, the character models look pretty decent with plenty of animations and cutscenes. There's life to these characters. This is matched with the music and settings, making these games charming as all hell. So, in the last game, I complimented the gameplay quite a bit. It was the switching of items that caused me problems. See, switching items happened in real time, so while switching items it was easy to take damage. This time, pulling up the item screen pauses the game. Fixed. Literally, this caused me so much issues in Phantom Hourglass. This is a simple fix, but it helps so much it's laughable that it didn't actually happen in Phantom Hourglass. So with that small change fixing one of the biggest issues I had from the previous game, what else is there to talk about? Well, for starters, there are new items. The boomerang and the bow return, but everything else is pretty much new. This portable fan blade, which needs you to blow into the DS or Wii U gamepad mic, yeah, it gets a little dizzying trying to use it too much. I'm not a big fan of it, I'm not gonna lie. The other items are a sand wand to move sand with the touchpad and a whip. The whip is just awesome and a fun weapon which also allows for swinging puzzles. Bombs are also back, but they're nearly optional as bomb flowers are in places you absolutely need bombs. Huh, weird. You can also play music again. Yeah, you get a pan flute of sorts that you need to blow into the mic again to use. Thing is nearly broken though, so beware. You can also conduct a train. This is oddly fun and satisfying. It is similar to the boat from Phantom Hourglass, but you have tracks to follow instead of just going wherever. The train has some basic controls, but it is more free-moving than the boat, as the train won't stop just because your drawn-out path stopped. Basically, it follows the path, but it can also pass where you drew. You can also turn differently on tracks on a whim if you want to go exploring. Now that's more fun. You still get a cannon too. Last but not least, Zelda is playable. For the most part, you can control her as she possesses a phantom. Yeah, those phantoms. They were the worst enemy in the last game, and they return here, but are now playable thanks to Zelda. And nothing can stop her either, outside of her phobia of mice and bugs. Way to go, development team. You took one of the worst things from the previous game and turned it into one of the best things here. The only issue I have here is that Zelda has to literally have Link hit another phantom to change minor powers. And yeah, you control both Link and Zelda at the same time, really pounding in the concept of teamwork. You can draw a path for Zelda to rampage through or call her over. So yeah, as a person who doesn't like touch play, this is actually really fun. Hurts to say that, I know. Still, I get cramps from playing too long, but at least the game is worth playing. They fixed all the issues from the last game, and everything new they added, for the most part, is super fun to play. The only issues I have are minor ones, like the pan flute, in this department of the game. And it's really, really good! However, the levels centered around the gameplay may not get such an easy pass. For the most part, overworld dungeons, even the Spirit Tower is much better and really fun to play through. Each area has you doing something completely different. With a train. Yes, you have different puzzles and challenges with your train. It's actually awesome. Each dungeon uses new and old items for much more varied and creative puzzle solving. Excellent. These are some great dungeons. The boss fights are really fun too. This beetle, this skull tower, not you, this plant, and especially this magma monster that you snipe from a rail cart. My favorite in the game, bar none. Each fight needs to use items in specific and fun ways, making these fights really good for Zelda standards. So, what's the problem? Small things first. Likes are horrid in this game. They almost always devour my shield before I can get it back. This boss fight is an annoying mess. The only regular boss fight I don't like, and for good reason. Some of the things you have to do are fetch quests to pad out game time. Speaking of padding, the biggest issue I probably have is how padded out the final areas are in the game. See, the game itself is short. There are only 5 dungeons proper. However, after the final dungeon, there is another Spirit Tower segment. It's a long one. There is a lot of back and forth among several different floors due to you needing to switch Zelda's powers among phantoms. Some phantoms have fire. Some roll into a ball. Zelda will need all of these abilities for you to beat the final tower section. What sucks is that the phantoms are all gathered in one room. You grab a phantom, then head to the next floor, which is a series of hallways. Long ones. Zelda isn't Winnie the Pooh from Chain of Memories slow, but she isn't running any marathons in that armor either. Means not only do you have a long hallway, but you have to wait for her as well. This burns a decent chunk of time. Then, after the hallway, you have to finally reach the floor you needed the phantom in. You have to do this at least twice in this section. More if you don't know what the hell you're doing right away. AKA, if you don't know exactly what phantoms and where to use them right away, you're going to have to do this more than twice. After beating that, then there's this train section that has you fighting off 6 other trains with tears of light. The enemy trains are faster than you and can turn around on a dime. The only advantage you have is that when you're invincible for a short period of time, you can pull your horn and go way faster. This is something the game doesn't tell you. I didn't know it anyway. Also, if you mess up once and get hit by an enemy train, you start the entire damn thing all over again. Padding. Hell, 2 segments of the final battle are also like this. Mess up once, start all over again. The fight with Malladus, as he looks like Ganon, and the demon train are admittedly pretty cool though. This doesn't fix the issue here though. I find these segments to drone on longer than they really should, due to cheap level design tactics to artificially increase the length of the game by a small margin. Short doesn't mean bad. Nintendo, calm the hell down with this. One way to fix the runtime of a short game is to add in a bunch of side quests. Yeah! And there is plenty to do after the main quest to increase the game time, so yeah, a lot of the padding is just unneeded. First things first, the main collectibles. You catch rabbits in this game. Yep, you blast a rock they're hiding behind and you throw a net at them. Not gonna lie, I don't hate this, but the controls here are shit. I swear, the net often doesn't even come down where I'm tapping the screen at. Also, I don't know the strategy to catching rabbits. It feels like I only catch them when the game wants me to win. But they spawn in the same location, so it isn't super hard to return to where you found them and try again. It actually makes things pretty simple. But, you know, you get different treasures as well as a sword attack that shoots lasers when at full health. I didn't go out of my way to get this as of yet, but I looked it up. There's a reason for it. The other main collectible is stamps. You present them to Nico, who gives you rewards, including another sword move. I didn't do a whole lot of these, in case you were wondering. Rabbit chasing obviously isn't my game, and stamps, I liked collecting them when I found them, but I didn't take this too seriously. Still, I wouldn't mind going back and grabbing all of these. They are still fun things to do after all. You can also transport people and items for various side quests as well as for treasure. Not a bad gig. Overall, while simpler than some Zelda games, there is still plenty of side questing content in this game. While not perfect, these are fun things to do and collect for decent rewards. Overall, I obviously have some issues with the game. Collecting rabbits and blowing on that damn flute don't seem to work as smoothly as they should. Outside of those 2 issues, however, the only major one is the core level design taking a nosedive after the final dungeon. Luckily, the level design leading up to that, excluding one boss, is pretty damn good. Even sneaking around the phantoms is more fun due to a lack of a time limit and being able to see where the phantoms can see. The writing and charm are also top notch. The gameplay is great with some few new additions, and almost every issue is fixed from the previous game. Honestly, for a guy who doesn't like touchscreens, I have some pretty high praises for this game. I get it now, guys. I get why people like this game so much. It's actually really fun. If you like touch controls but haven't played this game, what the hell are you waiting for? A train? This is a really good DS game. Actually, really amazing. I really enjoyed my time here. With only one major issue, I gave this game a 9 out of 10. It's amazing. It's pretty good. If you like Zelda games, I'd say give this one a shot. So you can, you know, if you can grab a DS or 3DS, or if you have a Wii U, you can buy it before they close the shop, which is inevitably coming eventually. Meanwhile, the next time we look into Zelda, hopefully soon, I'll be looking at Majora's Mask, the remake for the 3DS in particular. Until then, I have a stop or two to make. So take care, my minions. Like, subscribe, comment if you feel like you enjoyed the video and learned something or two. And, you know, if you want to mention your own opinion on this game as well, that's fair. Farewell.